Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to Pearls of Wisdom. And today's video is going to be about your intuition talking to you. And your intuition may be talking to you, God may be talking to you, the universe may be talking to you, source may be talking to you, whatever you want to call it. But spirit, the spiritual realm, is giving you signs. It is giving you so many signs and things, signs about your path. And basically the message that spirit is trying to give you is going to show up into your field of consciousness, whether you are cognizant or not of this repeating sign, this repeating message, because it's not always the signs and messages can come in many forms, right? It can come in the form of like messengers. So for like my first example of this, of something coming into my field of consciousness before I ever knew it was meant for me, which is so silly because I literally was just kind of like observant of it and was like, oh, I would never go down that path. That's not for me. And now here I am. So let's talk about it. I used to listen to this spiritual podcast called High Vibin' It. I felt like they were my two older spiritual sisters. I listened to them a lot at the beginning of my spiritual awakening journey. And they constantly talked about quitting your 9-to-5, breaking free from the matrix, and living the life of your dreams. Their words, not mine. And they were both spiritual entrepreneurs. And at the time, I was in my early 20s. I had just graduated college. I had a degree. I totally thought I was going to like work in a government office, go up the ladder, get the salary, yada, 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 you know. So I just thought it was interesting that these girls were like, became like authors, hypnotherapists, had one-on-one clients, just all these different things in their businesses to make money. And when you have a business to make money, they always talked about how there's no limit to the amount of money that you can make and how being your own boss is so wonderful and teaches you so much, right? And I was always like, oh yeah, that's cool. Like, that's cool, but not for me. Also, like, I was pretty damn sure of my path for the longest time, like probably like 10 years from high school until like last year, like literally 10 years. I was pretty sure of my path, my career path. And I was like, no, I'm not taking the entrepreneur route. I'm not starting my own business. I'm not quitting the 9-to-5. Like that, like structure seems like something that I would want in my life. Right. And like, I don't mind like working for someone else and having them tell me what to do. So I never thought like, oh, I like really want to run my own business for that reason of being your own boss. But I kept hearing them talk about it, and it wasn't just them, I guess. I just feel like they talked about it a lot, and then I would like see it on the internet a lot, and then like just conversations I would have with people. Then it happened to my friend, and I was like, it came up in my field of consciousness so much that I started to question what was up. I was like, why do I keep freaking hearing about these people that quit their 9-to-5s and left the matrix, right? If it's not for me. Well, some years have passed, and that is now my path. That is now my path. Here we are. We've quit the 9-to-5 and we've quit the matrix, and I live a much more balanced and stable life. And that is just so valuable to me. I mean, for the longest time, I always disagreed with the 40-hour work week, because it's just not sustainable. It leads to burnouts, and people get really mentally and physically ill from overworking themselves, don't get to spend enough time with their friends, with their families, with themselves, you know. It just is, you become such a slave to this system of working 40 hours a week. And let's be real, most people who work 40 hours a week, are you really working 40 hours a week? No, you're probably you're like, first of all, like grinding, hustling, like that's not what I'm talking about. Like, are you actually like like what I'm saying is like if you add up the commutes and the lunches and the checking your emails after work and everything, like it's adding up to way more than 40 hours a week. Some people work 60, some people work 80, some people work 100 hours a week for a corporation. And it's like, okay, cool, that's your choice. And also like how stable and balanced are you, and how is your nervous system? And that is a great segue into the next thing that has popped up into my field of consciousness, which is nervous system regulation. Okay, guys, I have been hearing about nervous system regulation over and over and over for like the last year. Essentially, since I quit my 9 to 5 and broke free from the matrix to live the life of my dreams, I have been hearing so much about nervous system regulation and how it's so important. And I didn't really understand how it applied to me. I didn't understand how I necessarily needed that. Like I have my spiritual practices, like yoga, going on walks, eating 3 meals a day at like the right times. Like I feel like I do, and I'm very aware of unregulation because as someone that has struggled a lot with ADHD, it's very clear to me that when I'm overstimulated, I just like become a wreck. And so I need to do things. I have to take preventative measures to make sure that that doesn't happen to me because I don't want to crash out. So I practice silent meditation almost every day. I practice yoga almost every single day. I try to be mindful and practice presence almost every single day. And so these are like little things that actually make such a huge impact on my nervous system, but I never really like considered it nervous system regulation. I just said I need to do these things so that I can function properly and have good mental health, right? They're like one and the same. Like there's just so many benefits to having a regulated nervous system, but that just wasn't like the framework that I was looking at it through. And I kept hearing about nervous system regulation from all these people online, all these podcasts I listened to, books I read, like it just kept coming up, like conversations I would overhear on the street. Like that's the craziest one, is like when spirit is like, okay, I'm going to just give you the message in just like the form of you overhearing someone at a restaurant talk about what the message is, right? Like the intuition gives you messages that can be very subtle and hard to read sometimes. But again, pattern recognition. I was like, oh, wait, why does this keep coming up for me until yesterday or like, I don't know, this week, this month, sometime in the recent past. I realized that nervous system regulation is the next step in my journey because quitting the 9 to 5, breaking free from the matrix is actually turning out to be incredibly scary. Lots of limiting beliefs are coming through. I'm feeling actually quite paralyzed at the moment to like reach the next level of like starting my own business and like making a higher income and all of that good stuff that comes with like not having a 9 to 5 40-hour week, because there are benefits. There are totally benefits to the 9 to 5. And like, I mean, I always thought that was my path. So now that I'm on this new path, it is a lot of figuring shit out, and it's very overwhelming. And I have found myself like literally paralyzed, literally stuck, wanting to stay small, wanting to just not jump to the next level. It's funny because I feel like my spiritual self has jumped to the next level, like I've like quantum leaped, and then yet my physical self is having a hard time. And so that's where I'm learning a lot about nervous system regulation and how it really, really, really is such a huge role and a huge player in trying to jump to like a very new place in life, because your body is going to get stuck in the past. It's not gonna, our brains and bodies very much prefer what is familiar. And so if you're trying to do something totally different, your body is going to try to block you. Your brain is going to try to block you because it feels unsafe. And so that's what I'm working through right now. And nervous system regulation techniques is something that I'm having to dive into. To be fair, I'm going to a festival tomorrow, so I'm kind of going to put this on the back burner until I get back. But it's just something it finally makes sense in my field of consciousness, and I wanted to come on YouTube and share the journey with you guys. So if you liked this video, if it resonated in any way, shape, or form, I'd really appreciate it if you gave me a thumbs up. If you commented on the video, I'm trying to build a community here on YouTube. Slow and steady wins the race. I'm just trying to be consistent about posting and just being vulnerable and sharing my spiritual self because, I think the spiritual people on YouTube helped me tremendously get to where I am today. So I would just love to help other people get to where they're meant to go. Okay, lots of love. Peace out. We'll catch you next time on Pearls of Wisdom.